What's up, Kris Krohn here, and today I'm having a conversation with a gentleman who wants to continue growing his portfolio, but he's got some things holding him back. He's got banks holding him back. He's got his style of management holding him back. He wants to grow, but he doesn't know how. And today we're really going to be solving this issue, the number one dilemma every investor faces.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go!
So I'm about to have a conversation with a gentleman named Pete. He apparently owns approximately 20 properties. And all I know is that he wants to grow his portfolio more, but frankly, he doesn't know how. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, man, I remember when I got up to 25 homes, I thought I was donezo. And it was sad because I had a system that was working. I was building wealth. I was now a millionaire. I had a 6-figure residual income and I wanted to keep on growing. But the problem is I didn't have a way of scaling beyond 25 properties. I wonder if that's Pete's problem. And there's really good chance that where Pete's at is he's probably doing everything on his own. He's literally doing the repairs on his own. He's managing the properties, the contracts. He's vetting the people. And the reality is if you own too many properties and you're the one managing them, at some point you hit burnout. The good news is there's a way around this. And I know that because I've transacted 6,500 properties. I'm buying dozens of homes every single month with my real estate partners all over the world. And I'm telling you right now, there's a way to make this thing totally hands-off so that it can grow without your own personal restrictions. Let's talk to Pete and see what's actually going on. Hey, is this Pete?
Hello. Yes, I
Pete,
am.
what's up, brother? How you doing?
Good. How are you? Domatari.
I'm doing fantastic. So obviously we're here to do a little bit of the game plan and talk about the situation that you're in right now in your portfolio. Is that right?
We have some assets, some income, some equity in the real estate, and I'm just interested in how would you approach the passive income.
So let me ask you, is the goal right now more passive income or is it to continue growing your portfolio?
Growing and more passive.
Okay.
I started quite a few years ago, and my situation was, I would purchase a real estate and try to pay it off, then purchase another one and pay it off. Once I find out about you and see how you approach this, I'm trying to do the same thing and trying to grow a little bit more.
All right, let me make sure that I can wrap my head around your situation, and then I will step in your shoes and I will give you that game plan and let's see what we can co-create. Sound good?
Great. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. So right now, how many investment properties do you have?
Around 20.
Okay. Is that including your own home?
Yes. So it'll be 19. Yes.
Okay. 19 investment properties.
Yes.
And since in the past it was a goal of yours to stay totally debt-free, what is the total debt that you currently have on these 19 properties?
1.2.
1.2 million. And then if you had to guess the overall value of the whole portfolio, where do you think it's at?
Around 10.
Okay. So basically you owe 1.2 million on a $10 million real estate portfolio of 19 properties. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And then what's your total cash flow that you have coming in every month?
45,000.
45,000 a month. That's after all expenses, right?
No, that's not
okay.
Right. No, so, yeah.
What's the total positive cash flow left over after all expenses?
After taxes, insurance, and all that, I'm probably around 20,000.
$20,000 a month. So when you say that you have a goal of increasing your passive income, how much do you want to increase that by?
As much as possible,
All right.
Yeah.
You can only hit goals if you know what they are. Sometimes we have good intentions like, I don't know, I want things to get bigger. Now, if you're just saying, Kris, if you were Pete and the goal is to just grow the portfolio and get both growth and more cash flow, I'll show you exactly how to do that. But I want to make sure I'm actually meeting the objective. Tell me a little bit about your family and how you want to pass wealth on to the next generation. You have some kids?
Yes, I do.
How many kids?
So I have 8.
And do you have any real estate goals for your 8 kids?
I do. I made a plan to give each of my child a rental unit whenever they move out of the house. And so far, I've done it 4 times. I got 4 more times to go.
Can I ask you as a father, is this a good incentive to get them to launch out of the house?
No, that's not a purpose. They got married, so they moved away. And I'm trying to help them out. I find joy in helping people rather than being helped myself. So as I started, as a young person, when I started, I had a plan made I had a retirement age. I had a plan that I want to help my family.
Well, Pete, I do have some very specific advice for you. And we're going to talk about growth and we're going to talk about cash flow. Staying out of debt is very much a Dave Ramsey approach. And Dave Ramsey believes that if you can own your assets debt-free, that's a good thing. And I don't fully agree with Dave. I actually think that the goal is to have a certain amount of controllable passive income that comes in no matter what. So if I had a choice of being debt-free or have $100,000 a month every month roll into my account, I'd probably choose the $100,000 a month versus the debt-free, because having no debt is a level of financial security, but having the amount of money you want for the lifestyle that you want, well, that's actually the definition of true freedom. And so I value freedom more than I do security. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. Yes.
If I were you and we're really having the conversation, Kris, what would you do? I know a bank that I can go to right now on the $10 million portfolio. They're going to lend me up to 70 cents on the dollar. And so if I go 70 cents on the dollar on 10 million, that's 7 million missing the 1.2. And basically that's $5.8 million. And do you know what I would do with $5.8 million right now?
Grow?
I would buy a whole lot more real estate. And I'll tell you why. Right now, if you take a look at the economy right now, I've waited 10 years for there to be a correction in the market. I don't believe we're experiencing a market crash. I do believe that some of the markets that overinflated with inflation and with some of the pandemic, they need to come back down. Like Boise is overinflated by 72%. These are people that make $50,000, $60,000 a year, and they have these $500,000 homes. And if you've been up there, it's cow country. There's not a whole lot up there. Markets like that and tech cities, they're going to go through a correction. But in other parts of the country that didn't experience such a fierce explosion, where they actually still have pent-up supply and demand issues that are going to continue growing, those are areas where I can sustain growing my money at 25 to 30% a year. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
And that compounds. So let's just round down and let's just say that the goal was to extract $5 million. Well, my average purchase price on a home right now is around $250,000 or $220,000. So that's basically 4 homes per million. So I look at this and I'm like, I can double my portfolio. You can literally go from 20 homes to 40 homes. And the reason why I want to buy these 20 homes is because I'm going to pick up cash flow off of them. But more importantly, as the market reevaluates and I've bought them at a discount, the real question is, what does my growth look like at 25%? My actual growth, Pete, is 34%. That's my average. And according to the law of 72, that means that my money is doubling every 2 years. So if I have $5 million invested in and I double that in the next 2 years, I go from $5 to $10 million.
Wow.
And if we then have $10 million and it doubles again, that goes from $10 to $20 million. So the good news is you've got this great $10 million valuation and you're over the hump. This is where, if your goal is to build to a 9-figure portfolio, this is exactly how I would do it. By the way, you have Morgan Stanley that just put $1 billion of institutional funds into real estate. You have Blackstone that just raised $50 billion to buy real estate, plus another $4 billion was raised from California Institution. So there are billions of dollars that are going in. And what they're trying to do is large companies are trying to institutionalize real estate and commoditize it. And what it's going to do is it's going to change the game of real estate. And if people like you and I don't show up to actually get a sliver of what's happening, we're going to miss the shift of wealth exchange in real estate like never before. I think you're in a perfect position to take your portfolio from now 8 figures and have a very serious goal over the next decade to turn it into 9 figures.
How would you get involved with this people to be able to access these funds? That's one of my main issue that I would have to be in contact with, to have access to this type of,
Yes, lending is a part of it. How do you get a mortgage on all of this? And there's 2 approaches. One, you can either go to a bank that will portfolio lend on your entire portfolio, and they're probably going to require a personal guarantee, but they can pull out up to 70%. I've worked with this group before on lending that way. But also you have these DCR funds that people are leveraging, and they're just doing, on a lot of my portfolio, I'm doing individual refinances on every one of them. And again, it's portfolio lending based on the strength of the rented out portfolio, as opposed to evaluating you as a person. Because you understand that once you own as many houses as you do, you start becoming a very unconventional human being in the real estate game. Most banks will look at you a little bit funny because you've exceeded their 10 home limit. And so we need to use some of the other funding sources, and I can introduce you to some of those to help open those doors. But there's one thing that's going to have to change if we do this. I know that you are still in the habit of managing your entire portfolio yourself, right?
Definitely, yes.
And by the way, that might be doable with 20 homes, but do you think that's going to be doable with 40 homes?
Not at all. I won't be able to.
For me, my breaking point was 25. When I got to 25 homes, I was on the one hand celebrating all my success, and the other hand was ripping hair out of my head saying, like this is too crazy for me. And that's when I had to find professional property management groups, and I had to learn how to trust and leverage the right kind of people that could allow my growth to grow, my portfolio to grow without needing my care and my time over it.
Definitely, yeah.
You started investing in real estate how many years ago?
22 years ago.
So if you think about it, in a little over 20 years, you got to 10 million. I'm telling you that in the next 20 years, that's where you can take that to 9 figures, because if you keep compound interest on your side, it's a great move to get to a $10 million portfolio, but 100 million, if every 2 years you can now take 5 million and turn it into 10, and 2 years later take 10 and turn it into 20, that's where your portfolio is going to start building momentum of going from 10 million to 20 to 50 to 80 and that $100 million valuation. It won't take all 20 years to get there. I don't believe it will.
I appreciate your help and insight.
I think, Pete, the next step is for me to introduce you to some of the banks that can help you access some of those funds. That's our next move. And I think once we're done with that, we can take the next step on more real estate and also evaluate some of your other options.
Thank you, Kris.
Thank
you.
You're
Appreciate
very,
it.
very welcome, Pete. Thank you, brother.
Take care. Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye-bye. Bye.
Pete actually has everything that he needs to grow to the next level, but it sounds like he doesn't have the right contacts to figure out how to mortgage beyond a bank's typical limit on 10 properties. More importantly, Pete has to get out of his own way, right? The dude is swinging hammers. The dude is managing the properties himself. He's managing any of the rehab. And you know what? At the end of the day, he doesn't have a system for scaling, but I've got that system for him. You see, Pete is actually a brand new partner of mine. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be helping him take his portfolio from 10 million. I want to help him get it to 100 million. And for that to happen, I need to introduce a bunch of tools and resources, property managers, people that are going to basically take things over, access better markets, and get superior ROIs. Now, if you're watching this video and thinking, geez, Kris, it took Pete, and it's impressive what he's created, right? I mean, think about that. He hit that 8-figure mark, $10 million, but it took him 22 years. And it sounds like he probably did a lot of delayed gratification. It sounds like he probably did a lot of not going on vacation, maybe not having a lot of fun, because it was just save, invest, pay down, pay off. And that's not my style. In fact, what I really think is that real estate done right takes care of itself. And there's a lot of people all over the world that watch my content that say, Kris, could I partner with you like Pete? Could you help me start from nothing and build a portfolio? Well, check it out. If you have at least $50,000 sitting in a 401k or an IRA or equity in some home or savings, and you don't know how to really enter the game of real estate, passive and turnkey and passive, hands-free, that's something that I can provide for you. If you click the link below, you can learn about partnering with me, and I'll show you my team of 200 experts that make it fully turnkey, hands-free, and do it all for you. So if you like the idea of putting up some of the dough, watching it aggressively grow, but not doing any of the work, click the link and let me show you how partnering works. Maybe you're more like I was in my early 20s when I was literally broke as a joke and I had no credit to speak of, and I was just starting my career as a real estate investor with nothing. If you want to know how to build a portfolio from scratch, you should definitely check out this video, because I'll show you my journey of house hacking my way to my first $1 million.